One of the things that fascinates me about the forest is that trees are all narrative forms, just like we're narrative forms. We tell our story, they tell their story. One of the things I think about being a craftsman working in wood is that I have a choice of whether or not I tell the wood story or I tell my story, which side of the equation I focus upon, whether I really want to express myself in an egotistic manner or whether I want to put the wood forward and allow the wood to say what the wood says. And I think it's important for the woodworker to be a vehicle through which that expression from the forest is expressed and shared and understood. Where there's a knot in the tree, there had been a branch. And so every day in the life of the tree is recorded in the wood. And yet you have to have some sensitivity and willingness to devote some time in order to read what that tree says about itself. I love wood. I love the feel of it. I love the texture, I love the temperature of it. You know, if you have a piece of steel and you put your hand on it, it's going to be cold or it's going to be hot, but wood is always just right, and it's so that Goldilocks kind of thing. Wood is something that really connects us deeply with our natural environment, but it also has a warm tactile response. Wood expands and contracts across the width of its grain while it remains fairly stable in its length. And so this means that there are lots of things going on in something as simple as a box. I'm not really consciously looking for beauty. I try to address the beauty, though, by using woods that I think are beautiful and by using concepts that I think are true. While you could be pursuing truth in the mind, the hands are actually discovering it. My teaching really started as a craftsman. I would be doing craft shows and I would find that everybody was my age. So I became concerned that a lot of the skills that people have had would be lost. So that's part of my inclination to teach, and that's why I do a lot of writing about woodworking, and I write articles and books about woodworking because I think people need to be encouraged to understand their own creativity. The children like craftsmanship because it allows them to prove something to themselves and to prove something to other people that's visible and measurable. I get to play all the time, which is, you know, play is the real force in learning, and we all know that. But then when it comes to designing schools, we're looking at things like efficiency and things that don't really matter that much. You'll find things that gave you a tremendous amount of pleasure, and part of the reason why it was fun so much was that there was some part of you that was playfully engaged. You're learning something that takes you beyond yourself. I try to surprise myself every day, and you do that by play. You find out how things work together. And so one of the things that I try to do in my box making is to always have something that is surprising. So I'm always looking for things that instead of somebody saying, oh, I saw that before, been there, done that, I'm always looking for things that surprise the observer in some way. if you understand that texture is one of the tools offered by the principles and elements of design, then you realize that texture is one of the places that you can go. And I'm not just talking about texture in terms of how something feels, but how something looks and the way light dances on a surface. And so there's so many aspects of this integration between form and beauty. To me, the things that really appeal are things that connect with people's personal lives. So if I can make a beautiful box and it becomes something that someone puts something that's important to them in, then I've met one of my criteria, which is really to touch people's lives in a simple way. It's not the best time to be a craftsman in America in terms of being able to sell objects that receive a full understanding of their value. But in terms of living as we do now, there's been no more important time for us to invest in the creation of beautiful and useful things, because I think that reshapes who we are. And it changes us from being an idle consumer of things to being a creator